This is Battlefield REDSEC. We're here on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So this is Battlefield 6's take on the Battle Royale experience. It is a free-to-play, standalone game experience that looks exactly like Warzone. Anyways, no, it's quite interesting. So you've got this large-scale map environment. It's a very, very urban area that you can dive into and battle in with some very unique locations that are set up here. So I guess we're dropping as oh, we're in a formation group, eh? Yeah, that's fun. So yeah, this is set in Fort Linden. It's supposed to be a Southern California sort of black site region and area where you will be dropping in and attempting to survive as you face off against other opposing forces depending on the game mode that is being played. So for instance, you could be doing duos, you could be doing quads, or some sort of other seasonal type event that is going on whenever you might be playing this. So I'm sure there will be variations and so forth. But yes, you get this Battlefield Hardline-esque, I guess you would call it, environment, right? Where you're sort of going through these buildings trying to gather... Can I please get some loot here? Trying to gather resources, weapons, and tools that will help you eliminate the foes that are around you. The hope here is that this doesn't negatively impact... We're not in a rush, buddy. You don't have to grab everything. You know, the overall scope of it, because there was a lot of issues where Warzone kind of eroded the identity of COD. Hopefully that does not happen with Battlefield, but we'll have to wait and see how successful this is. It's an interesting open playground of destruction and chaos across this area. The giant, I guess they're literally calling them like... It feels almost like he's sensitive to do that, but it's like a raging wildfire kind of thing. It's coming and burning you inwards as you try to survive. But yeah, it's really, really quite interesting from a Battlefield perspective, because you've literally got to be kidding me. Because from a Battlefield perspective, I would say we haven't really had sort of locations like this since Hardline, and it's really quite neat. Like, I know we are getting similar type things in the main game, if that makes sense. Like, they are doing, like, in the multiplayer, we're getting that sort of large-scale sort of thing where it's like, oh, we're going to California and stuff for maps, but it is interesting to see this as the first showcase of it and giving us a glimpse into something else they're doing. There's not just, it's like a burst fire on this gun, eh? That's questionable. Anyways, yeah. So it's quite neat so far, I would say. Like, I find the concept of it interesting. It is quite a bit into the, I guess you would say, Battle Royale game at this point, if that makes sense. Like, Battle Royales have definitely been around for quite a while, so they are quite late into it. They did try with Firestorm a number of years ago. So it is interesting to see them once again attempting to, I guess you would say, like, do this again with Battlefield, but I think doing it as a bit of a... You would call it like a spin-off kind of thing, right? Because it's a standalone sort of thing, but it's still baked into the identity of, well, basically the Battlefield 6 experience, but definitely interesting. So we've got a couple different visual profiles here. We've been showing off the balanced, I guess you would call it. There's like a few different, well, there's two different visual profiles. It's just inheriting what the main experience of Battlefield has. So it's like, it's nothing really different outside of the core gameplay. It's just like your resolution. Targets are a little adjusted based on that, like trying to make it run a little bit better, a little bit more dynamic scaling. So for this particular mode, it's a 4K resolution, 60 FPS, but it's actually goes down to a 1440p kind of internal threshold that actually goes lower depending on how intense the particular moments are that are happening. And yeah, that's just kind of what we got here. It seems to run perfectly fine. I mean, the main game ran fine, so it's not really too surprising that this mode would also, you know, kind of exhibit the same sort of... I thought we could maybe jump up on that. Exhibit the same sort of, you know, performance levels and stuff. Oh, wow, there's a lot of enemies around here. This is going to be problematic. Yeah, I thought we could maybe... I thought I could sneak around, but, yeah, I guess not. My whole team's kind of getting blasted here. Maybe we found, like, another squad was coming from the side. Who's still alive do we even have? Like, this is not going over well. Take it that wasn't my guy that just walked by here. But I find that it kind of interesting, like, the environments, seeing a large-scale battlefield like this. Oh, so like, I'm kind of sitting here being like, so it is possible to have large maps in Battlefield. They're just choosing not to do them, which is kind of funny. We're wasting all their development time doing this. So then we have the other mode, which is kind of what I would say would be your sort of go-to mode if you have the high frame rate TV to do so, just because it will give you such an advantage in this mode, is performance. There's also FOV, weapon FOV and stuff. I'm going through all of these settings in case you are someone that hasn't played the main game. Like, this might be your first look at Battlefield if you've been ignoring the core game. So that's why I'm just going over all, like, the little technical stuff. In case you are curious, because it is the same as Battlefield 6, basically. Just that it is an option that you can adjust, and there's mouse and keyboard support, and all these other little settings that you can choose. So for the performance mode, which again is my recommended thing, this is 4K, but it's coming from like 1080p, and it goes up to 120 FPS, but you are getting something in the 90-ish FPS range. It's pretty fluid, it's actually quite nice and smooth in here, and it doesn't look too visually bad in comparison to, I guess I would say, what you're getting here as a benefit of like fluidity. I think it makes quite a bit of difference for what you're doing gameplay-wise. So, yeah, just something to keep in mind that I think this is the option to go for if you have a high frame rate display. I guess if you sort of don't, you're not really gonna get that. Do we lose somebody? Like, somebody actually, like, quit, or are they still alive? Oh, no, I think they're respawning. Yeah. But yeah, it's got some interesting stuff. It's got the sort of trademarks of Battlefield. There's the classes you pick beforehand. I usually do a... kind of wondering what these guys are... are we just looting, or I was kind of wondering what the plan is. So, it's got the trademarks of Battlefield. You know, you got the large-scale environments, you got some destruction, you got some things you can find. I think that makes this a little bit more interesting to me, is the fact that this game does kind of embrace the destructive element of Battlefield, which I think other battle royales don't really have. I wouldn't really call, like, the finals a like battle royale necessarily, but that game is, in concept, I would say similar in the idea that you are having that sort of destruction. And that destruction can make quite a difference when you are going around battling and fighting and shooting and destroying things. It makes it much more interesting seeing that complexity within the world of, like, you know, things breaking down and that. But it is funny because it is the spitting image of Warzone. And yeah, it's either gonna be of interest to you, or you're gonna find it to be a bit sort of odd and different. It plays perfectly fine. You know, the concept of it's interesting. From a technical standpoint, it's okay. I don't really have any issues with it. It's just like, yeah, it's another battle royale game, that is for sure. And there is some customization and things too that you can adjust if you want to have like good preset class things beforehand. Oh, this is going to be like the end of our team, isn't it? Yeah, we're totally gonna die here. We're gonna die valiantly, right? regardless, I find the concept quite interesting. I mean, I'm always down for a new battle royale experience, something that, you know, mixes things up a bit, provides something a little bit different gameplay-wise. You know, something that's new, exciting, and different within the space is always fun. Because, like, I don't think it's necessarily doing anything I would call groundbreaking, but it is providing something where it's like a playground of large-scale Warzone destruction, where you can literally carve out the environment in exciting and dynamic ways. That's always something I look at with Call of Duty, where I'm sort of like, you know, or other battle royales. I always talk about Warzone, that's just because it's so distinctively similar that I just kind of sit here and I'm like, that's sort of the template. But just imagine Warzone, but you could kind of break down the environment. There's an enemy hiding behind a wall. Well, you know, that's no longer a problem. We're just going to go through that. And that, to me, is quite... Actually, you know what? That Incendy thing, I actually think is more helpful than a defibrillator. Yeah, and then we have this, like, the upgrade weapon system is kind of fascinating, as it sort of dynamically changes your weapons over the course of this conflict. Oh, the firestorm's coming. That's not good. We should probably, get out of here, eh? Because apparently that thing just, like, is really, really quite nasty. I'm glad we're redeploying. I'm worried about this giant fire wall that's coming, because it's a very scary sort of setup there. Okay. Oh, I really like this thing, the factory one of that. I don't know if I should have two of the same gun. Okay. Because I'm like, I really like that, but okay, we'll just go with this. Then we got a UAV. See, it's got all the usual stuff of this sort of, I guess you would say, the trademarks of the series. Is that a tank? How is that even remotely fair? What are you supposed to do against that? What? Yeah, I guess I didn't really think of that aspect of it, right? Yeah, how are you supposed to... How are you supposed to take on a tank? Like, in a battle royale thing like this? I guess we're just supposed to have... They need to do some tuning and some adjustments and stuff. I'm quite surprised that they allow the tank. I mean, it is a Battlefield signature, and as I did say, they have all the Battlefield type stuff available in this. It seems very unbalanced to do a giant tank, but also kind of funny. Yeah, no, but I'm kind of liking what I'm playing here. I definitely will say that. It seems like it has a lot of potential, and it's running off of the core foundation of Battlefield 6 that I actually think is pretty good, like at a fundamental level. It's just, like, obviously the issue with the main game is space and, you know, scale and stuff like that. Just seems really small. So this really actually seems more reminiscent of traditional Battlefield because you're actually playing in a large space. Is it weird that I always assumed the eventual end game of, like, shooters such as Battlefield would be where you're fighting in an actual city? I assume there would be more density, as in, like, skyscraper buildings and stuff, but it's actually quite an impressive sense of scope in that. I wonder if we can kind of spectate here a bit of what's going on. We'll do another match. Alright, we're going off for another drop here as we go down and battle once again in the war zone. I mean, the REDSEC. I guess that's kind of a cool name. It's certainly interesting. I wonder how much of this... You know what, the more I look at this, the more mechanically it feels like they just took Apex Legends as a baseline and just kind of shoved it into Battlefield. Because, yeah, the jump leader and stuff, this is literally just Apex Legends that's been ripped and put into a Battlefield container. Which is kind of hilarious. I'm going to just deploy because I think our main guy is not playing at all. And is it weird that I actually thought this would be a larger map too? Like, I mean, it's a nice larger space, but it also feels a little bit more like it's leaning into Battlefield expectations for scope and stuff. I don't know, like, I sort of like this, but I definitely have some elements where I'm kind of like, I do hope they kind of balance things out a bit and adjust things, but we are looking at this from a day one perspective. You gotta look too, right? Like, this is very likely going to evolve and change over time. And at a starting point, I think I'm actually quite strangely happy with what this is. I mean, I knew it's exactly as I imagined it would be. Like, basically exactly how I imagined that this would be. Just, I didn't think it would have the exact Apex Legends sort of set up into it. Mostly the thing is, it's not bad. I see what they're going for. The scope of it's neat. It's nice to have a Battlefield like environment that is larger scale. It feels more traditional, more set up like it should for the Battlefield series. Oh, you got a little food truck there, but no food being served. And it's a cool setting. I like this as a setting. We get so many battle royales that aren't actual city environments. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. That's not good. Like, this actually feels like a legitimate city that you would be fighting in. Like, if there was, for whatever reason, a battlefield, like, or sorry, like a battle royale scenario in California, this is basically what it would probably look like. With the wildfires and everything, but no, it's... Yeah, it's about my expectations for this kind of thing. I need to get out of here, there's like too many guys. I'm trying to get to a safe spot to loot, but there's just enemies everywhere. And it plays fine, and it looks relatively good, so... Yeah, I don't really have more complaints. I mean, I'm sure I will eventually as I play more of it, obviously. Like, you know, the more and more you spend in the games, the more... And as more time goes on, more of the meta sort of, gets explored, and more of the stuff happens, and things change, and... It's quite neat what we got so far. Yeah, I'm intrigued by this and the direction of it. So it's basically copying Warzone with an Apex Legends sort of delivery system, and then it's Battlefield's new aesthetic and style. There's some real potential with this, honestly. Like, it, yeah, I could see this doing strangely quite well. Like, it's fun enough. I don't know how well it will necessarily fully capture my intrigue, but I'd say I'm into what this is at this point. I think it's kind of a fair thing. I'm definitely... The vibe is there, the style is there. It's got a bunch of neat spaces. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how this will impact Battlefield. I think there is probably going to be a slight worry, though, that this diverts all the resources and everything from the core development of the series, because maybe that's why the maps are so small in regular Battlefield. But it's definitely a bold new direction for this series, I'll tell you that, and I am quite eager to see how this shapes things going forward. It kind of gives me that vibe of, like, intrigue that I had when we first played, like, Warzone, where I was like, okay, let's see what this is. But obviously the big difference is we are many years into Battle Royales, and we've seen just about everything that Battle Royales have to offer, and this is very similar to what we've had. I don't know if this is going to be necessarily enough of an evolution that, like, fully captures the interest of the audience again, but, you know, always looking for something new, free to play to jump into, blast and destroy things in, and it'll be really interesting to see how everybody kind of gets their flow. It's Clippy! Is this the prototype for Clippy from Battlefield 2042? That's cool, but yeah, I'm definitely interested in this, and I will be probably showing off lots of it in the time to come, and if they do new maps or evolutions or changes over time, I suppose.